All right, everybody, we're back. Two Dads Review, ready to rock and roll with season 7, episode 5. A lot of information this episode. A lot of stuff. We're gonna roll right into this pretty quick, but we'll get the introductions aside. My name is Clay. Just the other dad on the other side.
Got Sloth Bear over here.
Yep, we're ready to rock and roll. We've been discussing before we started recording all the things that happened this episode, so we're ready to hit this. Real quick things. Make sure you check us out over at twodadsreview.com. It'll take you to our Audio Boom site. You can listen to us on all your preferred podcast platforms: iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn. You can also head over to Two Dads Review on YouTube. Our channel there also has our podcasts up. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, all at the Two Dads Review. You can click the updates, and you can see when we post our podcast every week. Okay, that's all that stuff out of the way. Are you ready to get into this, Corey?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, so we are starting episode 5. Title of the episode is East Watch, and we start immediately with Super Braun, who's dragging himself in full gear and Jamie in full armored gear a long way away from the battle out of the water.
Yeah, like it was like they had a submarine suit or something on, man. They were just walking on the bottom and they were like, "All right, time to get out. Like, let's go."
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and it wasn't like they waded up. Like, Braun came up from the water and then pulled Jamie's body up from the water. It's like, how did you do that?
Dude, I mean, like he said, I guess, you don't get to die by a dragon. No one gets to kill you but me until I get what I want. And so
right.
he's really hell bent on keeping Jamie alive.
He's like, till I get what I'm owed.
Yep.
I'm the only one that gets to kill you. So, and then he kind of drops the Jamie's. He goes, you're fucked. He goes, don't you mean we're fucked? No, I do not. Dragons are where our partnership ends, sir. Yeah. I am done.
He's like, yeah, if there was ever not a line in the sand, it said dragons.
Right, exactly. So they had their happy banter, but it was just kind of that little. Are we gonna see Braun again? Is this kind of his sign off? Have fun, Game of Thrones. I'm out of here because my character. They weren't keeping me around for all of it. If that's his way he signs off, I'm not horribly upset about it. I don't think they're going to not keep him on the show. We'll see. It just seemed like it was almost like a little bit of a sign off. This episode may be it, but we'll see. We've been wrong before, so.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know though, man. Later in the show, when Cersei likes to say things that she likes to say, man, you kind of know her list is a serious list. So
very
pretty
true.
Much. If you're on that list, you're gonna die. You're just gonna die.
Right, exactly. We'll definitely get to that part. I'm gonna call this scene 1.5. There's a lot of points and quarter scenes here because they jump from groups in the same area. So we're still at the battle, but not anywhere near Jamie or Braun. They get away, of course. So we're at scene 1.5, which is the battle aftermath, and you've got Tyrion, who is continuing his sulk from last episode and walking through the battlefield of all the ash and all the dead men and horses and just blown up everything. And we see the Dothraki, picking through what's not burned up and melted, for a nice. Even the guy holds the sword out to be like, did it melt and curve a little bit? No, we're straight. Okay, I'll take this sword.
Yeah, they're over there trying on the arm cuffs and stuff. They're like, yep, that'll work. I like that.
Yep.
That's cool.
This guy's right arm didn't get burned, and this guy's left arm didn't get burned. I've got 2 cuffs.
Yeah.
And then they march the rest of the survivors to the. I wonder if they had that hill picked out before the battle. Like, when I win this, that's where I'm going to park my dragon, and this is where I'm going to walk into frame and look all sorts of badass in front of all these guys who were left. I mean, she just had that, had it perched. We saw it in the trailer for. Last week's episode, we saw the trailer for how she had him positioned, but it's just she's really good at using those dragons to frame her whenever she's speaking to people who are supposed to turn to her side or die, is what she pretty much says.
Yeah, she always has a pleasant like bluff or a cliff that's kind of nearby to like really show those things off.
Here's my podium.
Yeah, she's got the
So
mental warfare thing down.
right, and so she asked the survivors, okay, so you have two choices. You join me, you help me, leave the world better than you found it, or you die. And of course, she wants right to bend the knee. And a couple guys are immediately like, "No, I'm good. I'm down. I'm bending. Maybe a dozen max in that group of a couple hundred."
Yeah,
And then
definitely. I was more surprised by the few of how many there weren't.
right,
Like
you
the
thought more
guys
would
that were
go.
like, "No, dude, I'm not bending over." I was like, all right."
Right. I didn't just drive it. I didn't just fly a dragon in here. But then Drogon not politely asks everybody to kneel.
Yeah, dude, that guy's really on like point. He knows when to really like kind of let himself be heard a little bit. Like a
Like,
dog growling
are
at the door. Like I'm just gonna
are
let you
you
know I'm here.
are you disrespecting my mama?
Yeah.
Are you disrespecting my mama? I said kneel, bitches, and he just lets it out, and yeah. And so then you get what 9/10, at least 3/4, if not 9/10 of the guys standing there down on one knee, and you have a couple of uh, uh, honor aside dumbasses that are left standing.
Yeah, you either have guys that are already dead or they're just stupid.
Right, right. And of those two, you have Lord Tarly and good old Dickon, who they have tried for the past 4 episodes to make us like care about him because he's his first time in battle, and they made sure to focus on him just enough to try to get us to care about him when this happens. But at the end of it all, I was kind of like, no, you're just being an idiot. Like there are only so many houses in this country, and we've seen at least a few wiped from the map just in like 5 scenes.
Yeah, and Tyrion also pointed that out to him, like,
Right,
hey,
you were the
just
future of your house.
just to let you know, man, there's not a whole lot of homes still standing. Like
Right.
everything's kind of going down quick.
Exactly. So, man. So yeah. So she, and the last few that are left standing are still like, we don't think she's gonna do it.
Yeah, well, and like I know it was supposed to be like finally you get to see like where the lines drawn between like all the houses and everybody and all that stuff. But I'm like, even when Tyrion calls him out for going like, "Hey, you guys' allegiance just switched like 5 minutes ago."
Right.
You're like, I don't understand what at that moment, like, what is it with this dragon that people go, "Hey, man, at least if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die by a dragon." Like Jaime went head charging in it too. These two are just gonna stand there and get roasted for no apparent reason whatsoever, other than all of a sudden they now like. Does he really hate outsiders that much?
Exactly. I mean, and even and he knows the history. It's not like she was born in Westeros, but she was immediately. Was she born in Westeros? Yeah, and then she immediately was like hurried overseas before everybody killed her. When she was first, I don't think she was born overseas.
No, I don't think she was.
Yeah, she was born in Westeros and had to like leave while she was an infant. She's never seen the areas like as enough to remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So his whole claim of like my queen was born, like, well, check your history, bro, because like so was she, and then everyone tried to kill her, so they had to move her. Yeah, Tyrion's little nudge with like your allegiances are somewhat flexible it was a nice little dig, and it's like
Yeah, like
come on, he's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I really, I mean, I get it. Sometimes like you can pull off an honorable death like that, but they didn't execute that really well in this.
Yeah.
It's from a point of view, like, because I'm like, okay, they died.
Right.
Why though? That was real dumb.
Two less,
that's all I felt about it.
Right. 2 less names I have to remember for the next season and a half. That's it. For the next 10 episodes total. That's all I have to remember. So I don't have to remember your names anymore. I don't think it was. I don't think they. I guess they probably introduced the characters too late and tried too hard for us to care what happened to them. And I think that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, and I guess like I know it's supposed to like Sam doesn't know yet or whatever, but
He's the last of his house, right?
yeah, so
But there's still no way he's going to. I mean, unless I was thinking about this a little bit because that popped in my head too, and it's like if he's the last of his house, but he's still on the Night's Watch, but then the wall doesn't exist because of the giant war. Like what the wall and what the Night's Watch is there for. If they make it past the wall, then there's really no point for the Night's Watch anymore. So it's like, well, what we're protecting the kingdom from is now through. So does that mean my watch is over? Like, can I go back to my house now when everything's done?
well, I think I think the Night Watch is pretty much dissembled.
Fluid.
Yeah, there's no real like everybody is the Night's Watch and everybody is not the Night's Watch, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
depending on how far the bad guys that are frozen make it, you're either on the Night's Watch or you're still warm.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, just to round out that scene, we see Tyrion try to convince her not to, and she had to burn them. Like she had to do what she said she was going to do, or news of that would travel as fast as the fact she roasted 2 Tarleys. The fact that she doesn't follow through, that she's not the strong, war queen, things like that. So I mean, at that point, and that's what she told Tyrion. She's like, I have to. Like I gave them a choice and they chose.
Yeah,
So,
I also get that too, but then like, when you come to find out that their plot now is like to get everybody on the same side, it was like you didn't need to burn them.
plenty of wars in history have been fought with men who are made to be on the side they're fighting for, not chose to be on that side. So that's what she's going off of, really.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is now that they're going out. I mean, we're gonna get to it, but basically at the end of the episode, like you see that old Dragon Queen and Jon like finally convinced her to try to get everybody on the same side for whatever's coming. So to me, I'm still like, I mean, if you kind of had that in the back of your head the whole time, like when Tyrion and Varys were talking, like, and he kept saying, when they would scream, I had to keep telling myself it wasn't me. You could have like brought that up a little harder and been like, hey, you really don't need to kill them because remember, this is the backup plan that we're really trying to do here.
Right. You're not trying to be your dad.
Yeah.
Or yeah. So yeah, and then we'll definitely get to that. Was an interesting conversation. We'll get to that here in a minute. So moving on, King's Landing. Jamie and Cersei. She's in her chambers and he storms in and is pretty much like, "Yep, okay, well, we're done. The war's over. I've only seen one dragon. She's got 3. We can't win this at all. So how do we what's our exit strategy?" Oh, and by the way, Tyrion didn't kill Joffrey. Olenna Tyrell did, and I'm not even saving that little tidbit any more than 30 seconds into this conversation. So that's what happened also. So can we just go somewhere and just cry for a bit and just be done? and then she's like, well, I don't, did she tell you this after she drank the poison? And he's like, yes. And he's like, what would she? He's like, look at. He goes,
yeah.
Who would you?
Look at the pile of evidence I'm about to present to you.
And here's the kicker: who would you rather your granddaughter be married to, Tommen or Joffrey? Mm-hmm. Of course, she killed him.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Like even Cersei was like, yeah, Joffrey was
not the best thing I've made in my life.
Yeah, loved him, but
And then she hits him with a little bit of low blow, and she goes, I can fight and die or submit and die. I know my choice. A soldier should know his. And it's like, oh, girl.
Yeah. She's like, hey, by the way, don't let me remind you that my balls are bigger than yours again.
Right. So she's not budging. She's staying. There's nothing that's going to convince her, and there isn't anything that's going to convince her. Even the plot we get into later on in the episode, if they even drag a White Walker in front of her, I still don't think she's going to care. So
I think she'll care. I don't know if it'll be
a nice mutual togetherness of of armies.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, okay, you're the front line, so like you got to take out as much as you can, or like she said, like she'll fight from the inside, like she'll bow down, if like not bow down as in a queen, but like accommodate. I think she'll easily accommodate for this joint venture because she'll somehow figure out how to sabotage or, you know, take out her opponents with the White Walkers. Maybe she'll be like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, we got your backs. Literally, we have your backs. And then she just sandwiches them all thinking she can take out everybody.
Right. Well, I'm going to disagree with you because I would say the before the throne Cersei would have done that. That was her way. I think of the two queens, she may be the crazier one. And I think that she's ready with that statement, she's ready to die no matter what happens. And I don't think the White Walkers and the army of the dead coming down from the north is going to make her do anything to help Dany or to help anybody. She doesn't care about anybody but herself anyways, so it's not like she cares about the people or any of that other preservation stuff. Dany's fighting, she's trying to fight and still keep the population on her side.
Yeah, but Cersei doesn't want to not be queen. Like she's gonna do what she needs to do to keep a kingdom, and even though like she's a psychopath, like she'll still do what she needs to do. Like if she knows, like if she, like Jamie said, there's not enough people in this world that you can purchase to fight these 3 dragons. But if she gets a feeling that, okay, maybe I got to team up with Team Dragon here for a little bit and go figure out how to kill them in the north and buy myself some time, she'll definitely do that.
It would be cool to see that. And all I could, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I just don't think they've written her to do that anymore. But it would be cool if they actually get a White down to King's Landing while it's still moving around. So that'll be interesting. So let's move on. Let's go to we'll come back to Cersei and Jaime because that happens later on. Some more big news. We'll go back to Dragonstone, where, and this is something we talked about last week on the podcast. So Jon's staring longingly at the ocean like he does most days on Dragonstone, and Dany comes flying in on Drogon, and Drogon lands and starts coming at him, and he's scared, but he's staying his ground, and then there's a little bit of a guy bond there, a little bit of, hey, how's it going? Wait a second, you're not like everybody else I normally sniff. Takes his glove off and he lets him touch him. The whole time Dany's like, what's going on down there? What are you guys doing down there?
Yeah, because he's conveniently like curved just enough to like completely obscure her view.
Right. So we called it last week. We said that it was, I said it was going to do something to the effect of like when a cat rubs its leg up on you, rubs on your leg, when you walk into its house or whatever. But so Drogon definitely noticed something. They made a point to zoom in on his eye, on his pupil, where he was like, it was all razor thin from being in predator mode, and then it flips to being more of an open pupil, which is like your more relaxed type thing.
Yeah. Now, to cut you off.
Sure. That's what we're here
for. So he touched Drogon. Obviously, we know Daenerys can like just all up ride on him, walk on him, pretty much do whatever she wants. Now Tyrion has touched one too, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Tyrion,
now those are the only 3 people that have actually touched the dragon that we have seen in the show, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm gonna say correct off of 6 seasons of not taking notes and watching these shows, and now we're on season 7 where I'm actually taking notes for the podcast. So I'm going to say I know that the one guy that she quote unquote gave the dragon to had him on a chain, so I don't think he touched him. And when the dragons were stolen, when she was in the temple with all the doors and the hallucinations, I cannot remember it for the life of me. But they had her. Remember the whole "Give Me Back My Dragon" season?
Yeah.
They were in cages, but then they broke them out of. So but yes, as of like being allowed to touch, I would say those are the 3, and those 3 go with who we possibly think, and actually now later on know are Targaryen blood, at least 2 of them, if not the third as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
that like hit me like a brick hammer last night, and I was like, "What?"
yeah, I've always called. I don't know if I said on the podcast, but from all the stuff I've read and listened to, That's great. That's saved for life. You all are welcome for that.
Yeah.
From all I've read and watched and looked at, those 3 are what I've always been like. Yeah, that makes enough sense. Now, how they're going to keep Tyrion on a dragon, I have no friggin' clue. So that'll be just a nice little harness. I don't know.
Dude, they invented a wheelchair in a couple hours, man.
They are making leaps and bounds in technology in Westeros.
Yes, and they're also referencing time finally in this episode.
just barely.
Barely, yeah. But at least enough for them to be like, hey, this was 7 years, this was 4 years. Like, oh,
right.
Cool, thanks, guys. I was always curious about that.
The one thing I do want to say before we leave this scene, there's a couple things, because there's another big thing that happens, kind of big, at least to one guy. So she has this look of like questioning and wonder and concern on her face when she's on Drogon, when he's letting Jon pet him, and she finally sees that, and then she like gets down and either she's putting on a face or like she forgot to still look a little bit disturbed and like questioning why did he let you do that type thing, because it's not like it's a normal occurrence.
Yeah, but I think she just like knows there's something special about Jon, so like that's why she didn't really flip out. I think that's why she hit on that heart, stabbed in the heart thing.
That was the next thing is she brought that up, and Saved by the Bell, saved by the Dothraki that showed up. He didn't have to answer that question.
Yeah, and plus, like she, man, they're doing this real like weird, borderline, we all believe it's incestual love story that's going on, because she was dropping some googly eyes at Jon, like super hardcore.
Yeah, there's some definite feels going on there. They're definitely they're pushing for that. So and then ever in the friend zone, Jorah shows up. That was a nice reveal. Like they had to. Okay, we need it. Who's our Dothraki guy who's got really really broad shoulders? Okay, put a cloak on that guy. Now here, walk behind him. So it's a cool reveal when like we don't see you right out of it. So and make sure you walk behind me the entire time. Like he wanted to be like surprise.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Hey, you can touch me now. Not that you're going to, because I'm still in the friend zone. But
yeah, so I love how like they even like make it like, yeah, we kind of know we love each other, but it's just you're really old.
Right. I love you, but not that way.
And then you got this weird Rock STD thing, so.
Right. So that finishes that scene up. Jorah's home. That's good. We go to Winterfell real quick. We see a flock of ravens in a tree. We start seeing them blinking, and their eyes start to go cloudy, and then they take off. And we see that Bran is warging into the ravens, and the ravens give us our first view of Eastwatch, which is cool. Other than the opening credits, which gave us the cool little digital version of Eastwatch for the opening scene. But
yeah.
So we see Eastwatch. They go over the wall, and the Army of the Dead is real close. I mean, I don't know if there was like a time jump there. You know how they do that on this show, but I mean, the army is not far from the wall. And then a weird thing happens, which is going to be, I'm sure, cool later on. When the Night King notices the flock of ravens flying perfectly over his army, as he looks at them, it breaks the warg.
So it was like, all right, dude, what Professor X thing did you just get zapped with?
Exactly. We're going to have some sort of like mind battle between Bran and him. So I guess the question for later on is, do we think the Night King is... Do you think... It could be two things. It could be passive or it could be intentional. So passive, like the warging doesn't work around him because of some sort of aura he emits.
Yeah, like he's just too super powerful kind of thing.
Yeah, just some sort of thing that he's not doing on purpose. Or he actually has the ability to break a warg, which will then screw up Bran when he's trying to fight with whoever he's warged into during battles. So that'll be a neat thing to watch as this season and the next season starts coming out. So
Yeah, I think that was definitely more of like a concentration thing. Like he deliberately was like, "Nah, you're not going any further."
Right, and that no,
Yeah.
and there is a lot of dead. Like that, the dark cloud of like just of people as it went further back. It just kept going. I was like, man, there is no friggin' way that they are gonna win this battle. Like
Yeah,
there's a
well,
lot.
and I think that's like it's super cool to see, a scale of an army like that. Like that's just like bonkers, right?
Right.
But at a certain point, like you gotta tone it down because there ain't no way. There's no way they could win that. Even with 3 dragons, man.
Right.
There's just too many of anything.
Exactly. And there, there's just so many, and they're all from the battle at Hardhome. I mean, these dead are like the World War Z zombies from that Brad Pitt movie, where they like move like ants. They're just gonna climb on top of each other to grab whatever they need to get to. I'd like to see how they're gonna. And our first like idea of how crazy scary they're gonna be is how they get over the wall, which I don't think. I'm calling it now. So here comes prediction for when it comes to the first battle at the wall with the dead. I am predicting the ant style wall climb where you just pile your army up against it, and they all just keep getting on top of each other and making a big giant mountain all the way to the top, and then everybody starts going over, kind of like World War Z style. So,
all right, I think that's just gonna be they're just gonna go through it because they got giants.
just we're taking and that'll be the. I'll give you that. I'll give you that as the also to my giant ant wall.
Yeah.
So so that's we'll see. So Bran of course hollers for he's like we need to send ravens now. Like we need to get some emails out. Big time.
Yeah. He's like, so what is the fastest way we can spread this word? And by the way, man, those birds when he is all in their head and when they're going into town, I don't know what kind of speed they travel at, but it is the fastest speed ever because those ravens were covering ground as they were flying.
What the ones going into the ones going into the looking at the army or the ones that are taking the messages back to
both.
Well, they were probably different ones because ones were just wild ones and there's ones that keep in the ravenry. So, but yes, they sent. I don't think it's the same group of crows or same group of ravens.
Well, okay.
So just because they were in a tree out, they don't keep those ravens in a tree outside of
Well,
Winterfell.
I just figured he was just like controlling them all. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, dude, those birds are gonna die. Like they have not had a break in like months.
No, you can sleep well tonight. It probably wasn't the same ravens. It's okay. So speaking of the ravens, we immediately pick up an old town where the headmeisters, the sea level meeting of all the vice presidents or whatever. They're all sitting around a table reading the scroll that came from Winterfell, and good old Sam is busting in right in time, and he overhears who it's from, and he's like, "You're talking about Bran Stark," and then they all grill him and humor him. They actually let him speak more than I had thought they were going to, which I think is what you were going for with that Meister. He's not really in a bad spot. He's just old. He doesn't hate Sam. He actually doesn't not believe him, but he doesn't. He also says, "I've heard a lot of this stuff before," and even some of the Meisters break into. And I didn't write it down, but they broke into a couple of like book stories, like old school lore. They mentioned at the end as they were chuckling around about we heard this from the person who said they were descended from the children of the forest, and this guy. Who said,
and then and they also were like already jonesing on Meisters of the North, anyways, because they were like, I don't know what it is about them, the loneliness, the weather, the drink, like they were just like they're all crazy.
Yeah, the ones from the north always they always end up going nuts.
Yep.
So they and at least Sam's instructor said, "Hey, we'll write to them and get clarification. Like, did you write this right? Like, we know you send things by bird, and you're pretty sure that you write down exactly what you mean, but would you mind writing that again?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that I'm reading this correctly."
Yeah, can you help us out, please?
Right, and then we find out that he has not told Sam about his father and brother. as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So
and well, yeah, and he's gone.
yep, and he's gone, as we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah,
Yep.
that definite, that's hard. I mean, yeah,
Well, that was I was about, that kind of brought it up earlier when we were talking about his dad and his brother, and it was like, uh, is he gonna forgive her for burning his dad and brother? Because he kind of really didn't like his dad to begin with, but he was still a family boy and like just be House Tully.
right, exactly.
Or is he gonna be like, or is he gonna be bitter?
Right, we said that last episode, right? Did we mention that in the last podcast?
What?
About that, like how he's gonna have some beef with her for sure, and possibly even Jon, because Jon's gonna side for her, because by that time I'm sure they'll be boinking. So it's not like they're not gonna be on the same. Jon will be on the side of Daenerys, and then Sam rolls in like, but she burned my family, but you hated them. Yeah, but she burned them. Like, so it'll be one of those fights, and then who knows? I mean, one thing that I was reading consistently and seeing consistently for the past couple days, is that a lot of this, and actually one of our other dads and I were talking about this yesterday, that there's a lot of internal struggles that they're making between characters that are pretty much just probably going to not amount to anything.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking too. Like he'll probably they'll say something in passing and he'll understand it was for the greater good or whatever, and he's like, oh cool, yeah, I'll carry on the name of Tully, and then he'll marry what's her face, and that'll be his kid. And he's
right.
like, and I'll raise a bastard like you, Jon.
Right. So yeah, so I with it, they can't just give us, they monetarily can't just give us a fight scene after fight scene for the next this season and the next season. So they've got to put something in there for us. So a lot of this stuff, especially the stuff at Winterfell, we're going to get to in a minute, that it's just like, okay, like we know what you're doing, and we know that it's going to like lead to like a little scuffle and then nothing, or then so we'll get there. But yeah, so we'll pick up after Sam leaves the meeting. We're back at Dragonstone, and Varys and Tyrion are sharing a pitcher of some sort of wine, I'm sure. And Varys has the same scroll that they were reading at Oldtown, so he's also received it. And they discuss the fact that they discuss the burning of the Tarleys. Varys goes into one of his. This is what you were talking about earlier. Varys goes into the story like, you should have told this story in front of Dany, so she can know. Like as their screams grew louder, I kept telling myself, I'm not the one doing it. It's like, okay, but you should have told this in front of somebody other than someone who shares your exact same opinion about burning people all the time.
Yeah. Like, hey man, you can speak up too.
Right, and they make a good point of Dany. Dany is not her father with the right counsel, so they both know that they have like double duties to pull with keeping her like off the cliff or like out of the pyre or whatever the term would be for her.
Yeah, just to make sure she's not 2.0 of the Mad King.
Exactly.
Mad Queen 1.0,
Mad Queen
I guess.
2.0. And then my favorite part is when Tyrion goes, "Did you read it?" And Varys says, "It's a sealed scroll from the king of the North." And Tyrion goes, "What's it say?"
Yeah, takes a sip, stays a little quiet, and then goes, "Well, what does it say?" And then they both
nothing
start talking
good.
about it.
Nothing good. Yeah. I just like that banter between them. It's cool to see that they know each other so well that of course you opened it, of course you read it before you handed it off to them.
Yeah. Don't act like you're gonna present some secret to me and then go, "Ooh, yeah, I don't know any more about it."
Right. I know this game. I've played it just as well. So then we are back in the map room, I guess we can call it, of Dragonstone. And Jon has read the letter, and he now knows that Bran is alive. He now knows that Arya is alive, and then immediately believes exactly what Bran says, because why not? At this point, you just touched a dragon, for God's sake. So, if someone wrote you on a scroll and they felt the need to tell you, I'm gonna believe it. So, and he goes right into believing it, and he says Bronn saw the Whites marching on Eastwatch, and then. Tyrion should really they keep going with his plans. Like they keep going with what his idea is, and for the life of me, so his idea is to bring a white down to King's Landing, show it to Cersei, and say, "Stop being a bitch, and let's all get together and fight, and fight the army of the dead, and then we could deal with our differences at a later point in time." What time do we have, like, to row back up to Eastwatch? Because at least Dragonstone and Eastwatch are on the same side of the world on the Westeros map. So they're going to get up there fairly quick, which we know because it happens here in a few minutes. But you're going to cull one from the herd, just one, and bring it back down. Like, these things they don't send scouts. They just have a big, giant mass of people. Like, it just seems...
Well, I think that's why you see... Again, we're just going to jump all around this episode.
That's fine. Too much information.
Well, I see... Yeah. Well, okay, so you see the little raiding party, right? That they're supposed to go snag one zombie. But then if you watch the little trailer at the end, you kind of see them, like... get into a kill zone with them, basically, almost to like narrow them down slightly, hoping that they can just kind of like pick one and then maybe whatever creative means cause an avalanche or yada 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 to slow them down. But then all of a sudden you see them later hauling butt, so probably that idea didn't work out. So I think it's going to be one of those things like that was the game plan and it didn't work out, and
of course it is.
But I'm with you. Like, what's going to be the thing then that gets them going? Like, because I still think they're all going to team up.
Yeah, but I mean, so even if you go out past the wall, you snag one, they're still moving south. You're heading south as fast as you can. You go through the wall, and then you ride for what I believe someone, I don't remember. I'm going to guess it's weeks, on horseback to get from top to bottom, pretty much to get down to... Well, it's only halfway down, so I guess it's not as far as it could be. But so they're already at the wall, and you're not there. You're not there to lead the Northerners, which we see here shortly is already pissing off those people. So you're hoping to get into King's Land to then show her this white in prayer that she turns all of her armies that she's hired and paid for towards this Walking Dead army. It's just, there's not a good way out, so I guess it's what they had to write. But man.
Well, yeah. I mean,
this show is better than Weekly Follies. Like, oh, that didn't work. Let's go do this time. It's definitely not going to work from the start, but we're going to try it. Like, this show's better than that. So while I still love it, and I think this episode was definitely a good build up to what's coming. I feel like I don't know. It seems a little bit normal to me. Like a little like I'd expect this from a different show. It's like, come on, guys. You guys have done one like dumb move after another. So let's you guys are better than this.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how all this is gonna get like tied in together. Like what are they? Okay, what it's gonna make me go? Why did I ever doubt you? Like
I know, and I'll be eating my hat later on, I'm sure. But for the most part, there's been a lot of like, why are you doing this? Why is this happening? Like, why is this being written in here?
Yeah.
So,
like,
yeah.
And there was definitely a ton, like you said, a ton of information, but some of it I feel is just almost pointless. Like,
right.
it's almost like they're trying to trick us with an information overload, like.
Exactly. Well, and yeah, there's a lot of it, and I guess because they have to have with these shortened seasons and the amount of battles we've already had, that we've been moving chess pieces for 6 years, for 7 years. So it's about all these battles have to start happening. So they can only throw in so many talky episodes, and this was one of them. And there was a lot of information and a lot of like verbally moving chess pieces in this episode that's going to then lead to like very short, thin scripts for the next 2 episodes because it's gonna be all running, all just hauling ass. What is my character doing? You're hauling ass the entire episode. Just get ready to run, bro. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and of course, to round out Dragonstone, Tyrion says he's gonna go use Jaime. The only person Cersei listens to is Jaime, and Jaime and I are still okay-ish. Maybe we'll see. I hope I don't die going down there. So they turn to Davos, and he's like, I could get him there. I can't say I can get him out, but I can get him into the castle. He's like, I know that way, but I can't say what's going to happen. I can't speak for him once he gets in.
Yeah. He's like, this may be a one-way trip, and I just want to clarify that to everybody.
I am not a fighter. I am an old ass man.
Yeah.
So
well, I love how they were like. He was like, and as you all very well are, later in the episode, he's like, and you know I'm no good at a fight, and then and the Wildling dude's like, yeah, we know.
I think he says, yeah, we know, and you're not coming.
Yeah.
And then Jorah volunteers to go north because he was just waiting for his chance to be like, I love you. I'll do anything for you. Look, I'm going to go up here north with you, or north with these guys to go get this white for you because it's what you want. I want to give you everything you want because I love you so much, Danny. So Jorah volunteers, and then Jon says he's leading the raid, which Danny shows her but my boyfriend's leaving face, and she goes, I haven't given you permission to leave, and he goes, with all due respect, I don't need your permission. I'm a king.
Yeah, like totally. Okay, to me, I started laughing so hard because I was like, one, dude, way to put your foot down, because sometimes you just got to tell somebody, like, hey, man, I got to go take care of this dead thing, so I'm leaving, right? But it was also like a reminder of the times that they're in, of like, listen, woman, you may have 3 dragons, but you're still a woman, and I am a king. I'm going to leave.
Right.
And like, like, I love how the little subtle things like that, like, everybody's just like, oh, he's calling out being a king, but you also got to remember, like, the time and place, like, that has a lot more oomph to it.
Yeah, there may have been some
place.
There may have been some undertones of that, yes.
Yeah, like, I think it's funny how he just like came right back to her. It's like, I don't care.
It may be, and it also, on a slightly lesser sexist area, it may be he already knows he's got her hooked. Like, he already knows he's falling. He's seen those eyes look into his eyes. He knows that he can, like, go out on this little bit of, like, he can speak up a little bit, and she's not going to, she'll
like
back down.
He knows he can get away with a little bit more than everybody else. Yeah, he definitely knows that.
Right, exactly. So, probably a little bit of both. I would agree. So that's all set up and in the works. So then we move to Winterfell for the second time, but for the longer of the 2 times. Last time it was just with Bran, and we see the main room at Winterfell, and the lords are bitching because Jon's not up north. The King of the North needs to stay in the north. It's like, oh, okay, so you guys are he literally just like didn't kill you for not fighting for him when you needed you, and now you're already turning tail, like you're already like turning on him. So, and Sansa stands up for him, which is good. And Arya is doing her little, slinking in the back, just listening to how things are going. And then the sisters, and this comes into our first, like, let's just write in some conflict between them, because they've always had conflict and it's never really done anything. And we know we're not going to go anywhere with this because there's not enough time to dig into this conflict. But we're going to go ahead and create this now because it'll give us something to do for a few minutes of this episode that that will turn out into something that may lead Arya to use that dagger. Who knows, because of what happens later on in the episode. But the sisters just have a little bit of a, you always like nice things. Like, it was just a fight that was just like, are we still here?
Well, yeah, because I don't think Arya trusts Sansa. I think she's trying to figure out like how much Littlefinger has got control of her, I guess you could say. And true. But I think this is it's gonna bring up that fight you were talking about, but also I think it's gonna be the thing that they realize when they put all the pieces together that they're not the common enemy, and it's also gonna wash away, like, we can't really trust each other because I don't know where you've been and I don't know who you are anymore, kind of thing.
Right.
And plus all the old animosity, like, it'll.
Sisters, right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then she even tells Sansa to the point that, you're thinking it. You're thinking it right now. You wish you weren't thinking it. But she's pretty much saying you hope he doesn't come back because you want to be Lady of Winterfell. And, yeah, it was just stuff like that. It's like, come on. Like, yes, that's it. Yes, it's probably what's going on to a certain extent, but we don't need that. We're better than that. We can give you some more intricate stuff, which I think they kind of get to it later on, but I'm not sure if we needed that scene, definitely. The next one, they could have combined the two Winterfell scenes for the next one that comes up here in a little bit, but we'll get there. So we're back at King's Landing, and Bronn is leading Jaime down into the dungeon where all the dragons are in the ruse of training with him because he fights like shit with his left hand.
Yeah.
And, he's like, today may be the day I kill you, Bronn. He goes, you won't be swinging that at me.
Yeah.
So, Tyrion and Jaime, see each other for the first time since, Jaime let him out. Jaime let him escape from prison.
Yeah, so that was apparently 3 years ago.
Is that they said 3 years?
Yeah, because he called it out because he's like, I haven't seen you in like 3.5 years or something like that.
Right.
And
nice.
And he said last time I swore I would cut you in half or whatever.
It's like, well, you'll be swinging a long time with that training sword.
Yeah.
Sparring sword. So they have and then Tyrion breaks into like, I'm sorry, I'm a dwarf, like rhetoric he goes into all the time. It's like, dude, we know, man.
Well, that's because
Jaime knows.
Jaime kept going, you killed Dad, and he's like, come on, dude, are we still on that? Like, do I have to do this? Like, and of course he just falls right back into it because that's what brothers
he's been doing his
do,
entire, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we literally have a sister fight that we really didn't need, and we have a brother fight that, while slightly more relevant because of where they are and what their history is between, as opposed to the girls, it's still like, oh, girl, like a standard sister fight, and now a standard brother fight. Okay. But the big part of it is that he explains his plan about, we need to work together. We had this army coming down from the north, and at the end he says Dany has a more important request than bending the knee. He says, or Jaime says, Cersei won't bend the knee, and Tyrion says Dany has a more important request right now, at least.
Yeah.
It's like, and now we didn't hear what that was. I'm guessing it's like, please let us bring you a dead person that's moving around. They don't really go into it. We know what the plan is. I'm guessing that's all of the plan, but there could be more to it. That could be like the mesh. Who knows? We don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, let's have a brother fight and then only ambiguously talk about the plan for the future. So we're all surprised if you see a few scenes or next season. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
yeah, who knows? Who knows how long that's going to develop? There may be just nothing but little skirmishes with dead people as the whole background thing of trying to get the Southerners to join the Northerners, in an all-out like war because they're coming kind of thing.
Right. And we know word travels fast in Westeros, so it'll only take them being over the wall for a little bit before at least the legend / tales of the dead become more apparent to all the population that it's true. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I wonder if we'll start seeing like, it'd be cool if they start introducing like some street scenes where you hear like the preachers on the corner,
Right.
like what kind of snake oil and stuff are they selling, now because the dead are supposedly coming, and like what stories are they preaching that have happened,
right? Right. So we leave that scene and we're going to go to scene 8.25 of the King's Landing scene, which is in Flea Bottom, and we get the first of our, well, not the first, but maybe the first of this episode of the fan service, and we all, people have been analyzing the trailers way before the season started, and they saw the circle of men and the guy holding the hammer, and they're like, oh, it could be Gendry, and it was. So we, Davos goes to pretty much the same shop he left and said, and he's there, and he's
and like, damn, you've been here the whole time, by the way.
Oh well,
Yeah.
his comment was, Davos's comment was, I thought you'd still be Rowan. And he may as well have looked. He may as well have just broken the fourth wall like Deadpool style and looked at the camera and smiled, because that's literally the running joke.
Yeah, he should have winked, and then they should have made the camera pan that like he was really winking at what's his face, you know, just like a little subtle hint at us.
Yeah, it was definitely like, here you go. We know it's the writers. It's the writers like saying hi to everybody. Like, we know what you guys talk about. We know the jokes that are going on, and it's it was kind of cool to see. I'm okay with it. It was all right. Not that they asked me, but I'm okay with it.
I approve.
Right, and then Gendry pulls like a Jack Bauer 24 like go bag because Davos is like, so we're gonna need you. He's like, I'm ready to go. Where are we going? Let's do this. I've been waiting all day. Every swing of the hammer, I'm ready to go. My bag's right here.
Yeah, man, like, he was so pumped.
He was just real pumped, and we'll get to the pumpness later on also that we talked about earlier. His pumpness may get him in trouble later on. Just a teaser. So Davos asks him to grab a sword. He goes, I'm not very good with a sword. He goes, that's going to be a problem. He goes, I'm better with one of these. And he snags his beautifully crafted war hammer with the stag antlers on it that's hanging on the wall right inside the door of his thing. That I'm like, you couldn't have like just put a cloak over, like that literally says, hey, I may have some ties to this house because I literally have this great hammer that I've literally spent thousands, hundreds of hours on.
By the way, not hiding anything.
Here's my hammer.
Yeah, he's like, just so you know, this is out in the open, right here. No one ever put it together.
And just walks out of it. Just walks out of his tent with it. Like, I'm out of here. See ya. Let's go. Yep. So
yeah, that was some good stuff.
That was great. And then we come back to Cersei and Jaime. Back in her room again later on, same scene, or continuing scene 8.5 in King's Landing, and Qyburn is leaving her after meeting with her for what we are guessing is a health check, or who knows. Jaime comes out, blurs out right again. He's like, I just met with Tyrion, so he's not. He's like, I'm just saying everything now. I don't care. He's like, I give up. Like, I'm just telling you everything. And then the cool part we find out is that Cersei already knew that he was meeting with him.
Yeah.
And she also, and this is what you talked about earlier, she knows Bronn set up the meeting.
Yep.
And she asked
she's like
Jaime,
already on point with everything, man.
And she asked Jaime if he's going to punish Bronn for doing that. And it's like, are we still here?
Yeah, and you saw Jaime's face like, God, jeez,
Right. And
like, this man has saved my life. I can't go punishing him.
Right. He literally just dove in front of a dragon and knocked me into water, and then dragged me in the submarine to the other end of the bank. So I can't just kill him now. Like, I'm not that kind of guy. And then we get our second. Gendry was our first, so second big bomb of the night, and that Cersei is pregnant again, and she's going to tell everybody that Jaime's the father because she doesn't give a F anymore. She's like, okay, yeah, and he says people like that, and then she loves to quote her father, and her father's quote was, "The lion does not concern himself with the opinions of the sheep." Yep. So we already know that she doesn't care about any of the underlings under her. We mentioned that even earlier this episode, and it just reiterates her entire view on how she's going to be queen. So I still don't see there's any way that she will be swayed, even if they walk a white into the throne room. She is too stuck on power, and she will not bend. She will not show any sign of weakness because she feels she had to for so long.
Dude, so I'm telling you, but she's crafty, man. Like, I'm not saying she'll bend, like, go, okay, yeah, you can have the Seven Kingdoms after I help you out. But I'm saying she will go, all right, that's cool, because the whole time she's going to figure out how to kill him. Like, like that she's going to figure out how to, like, I don't know, get them all stuck between the White Walkers and her army, kind of thing.
Yeah. Operation Get Behind the Dothraki.
Yeah, or she'll figure out how to, like, strike a deal with the White Walkers. Like, she's bonkers, dude.
I heard that somewhere else. And
I don't, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. She'll find a way to get in touch with them going, hey, you want to get rid of these things? We need to get rid of them too, kind of thing. Like,
yes. There was a theory going around that she's already in contact with the Night King. I don't know where. It all has been off screen, so we've not had any sort of hints towards it, but it's just the fans doing what fans do best around here. So one of the many theories out there is that she is already in contact with the Night King, and that there could be some sort of collusion there, but that's one of the more further off ideas. But we'll see. Never know.
Well, if she is, man, it could be all that like cloak and dagger stuff that her little Meister guy has been like kind of doing. Like, you know, we only get bits and pieces of like he made some giant crossbows in 2 days. Like, God knows what else he's been doing.
Well,
know?
And this just came to me, like as I'm sitting here listening to you, he did already bring someone back from the dead. So how does he know how to do that? It may not be taught in Meister school, you know, so maybe there is something to that, and then maybe that's where that comes from because of the mountain and the fact that he is a dead man walking as well. So maybe there is something to it. I don't know. Everybody tweet at us, let us know what you think. You know, comment on the Facebook page, let me know, because I'm lost, but it could be one of those far out plans that may actually turn out to be true.
Yeah, they're like, "Ha, you thought all this substance was nothing? Well, we've been going bonkers with the script back here."
Right. We read all your fan theories. We're going to incorporate all of them before the show is over.
Yeah. They were like, no, we got this. Don't worry about it, guys.
Right. And so we end that scene with them hugging and her telling him to never betray her again, which is like Jamie, if he is the dumbest ass if he does not realize that he cannot trust her anymore and that he needs to keep his damn mouth shut and he needs to have an exit strategy quickly.
Well, I mean, as it was called out like 2 episodes ago, like, and he even said, he was like, yeah, I'm madly in love with her. Like, she controls me. I'm not even controlling myself anymore. So like, we know no matter what, he's gonna bend to whatever she does. Like, I mean, except for maybe killing Tyrion, like he'll still always put an argument up with that, I feel like. But now especially if she's pregnant,
I would feel that I would be doing an in-service to our listeners who are hardcore conspiracy theory fans when it comes to this if I do not bring up at this moment the Azor Ahai theory. And just to clue you in and anybody listening, do you know who I'm talking about?
No, dude.
Okay, let me I'll tell this real quick. And I'm going to get part of it wrong, I'm sure, because I'm just telling it off the top of my head. So there's a person in the past in the lore of Westeros that was the person who forged the first flaming sword. His name was Azor Ahai, and he first forged it. He hammered it for, I don't know, like a week, and then killed something with it, and I can't remember what it was, and it didn't make the sword he wanted. Then he did it again, and he like hammered on it for like a month, and he killed a lion with it, and it didn't do what he wanted to do. And then the third time, he like hammered it for like 6 months or a year. Who friggin' knows? I forget the story. But the whole point is, and then he drove that sword into his lover's heart, his wife's heart, the person he loved the most, and killed her with it, thus creating himself as Azor Ahai. The Red Witch mentioned it way back when she was telling all of her stories back in the earlier seasons. And some of the fan theory is that Jaime will become Azor Ahai for the battles by killing Cersei and creating the flaming sword. So that's probably partially true of the story of the. I had to bring it up because I know someone's like out there going, "We'll talk about when he was supposed to be." So he's supposed to be theoretically Azor Ahai, and he'll be the one that kills Cersei, because we do know that Jaime has a very long fuse, but when he's finally pushed to it, he will act like he did with the Mad King. He waited to the last fucking second, but then he, killed him. So it may be the same thing. It may be something where, like, at the very last second, where she's losing her mind, he stabs her in the heart, his sword catches fire, and we start killing whites. I mean, it could be great. You never know.
But doesn't the dude with the eye patch, he have a flaming sword?
He does have a flaming sword, but it's not the one. And even in the, I don't know in the show, but in the books they mentioned it's more for show, kind of. He has, there may be some power to it, but it's not the sword, but it's meant to be like a, what can I compare it to? It's like in the military you have rifles that are fully automatic or 3-round bursts, and then as civilians you can only buy like the single round, the semi-auto, type version. He has like the semi-auto version of that sword, if even that much. Like, it's not really. It is.
So like there's like an authentic, and then he's got like a high grade replica.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's not going to be an unbreakable whatever. I should have pulled up the story if I was going to talk about it this long, but Yeah, maybe I'll go into it next week if we have something about that later on. If we have. A
Well,
little bit
yeah,
of a
your
chance.
flaming sword thing just made me think of his. I was like,
And we
wait.
see it in the trailer for next week.
Yeah,
For next week,
Well,
he
yeah,
cranks
he
up
also.
his.
I also
burning
remember it before from the cave.
sword. The cave, and when he was jousting at the very way early before it was the same actor. I think they changed actors, but yeah, when he was in the joust way season 1 or 2, you saw the flaming sword as well. But yeah, he does have one. I believe it's blessed by the red priestess with them. But I don't know if it's his. I think, like I said, I think it's a high grade knockoff. So, all right. So let's see. Cersei's okay. But betraying done. Okay, now we are back at Dragonstone, and we are saying our. Oh no, yeah, we're back at Dragonstone. Everybody's ready to head out, and Davos is walking with Gendry to meet Jon for the first time, and he's like, "Look, your name is Clovis. You're just a blacksmith. You wanted to come pay respects for going to Winterfell to work in the Blanken. Here it goes. This is the blank of the week. Blacksmith shop. So he's like, whatever you do, don't say anything about being Jon does not have time to deal with the bastard son of a dead king. And literally, he walks in. He's like, Your Grace, I'd like you to meet. Hey, I'm Gendry, the bastard son of Robert Baratheon. Your dad knew my dad, and I met your dad, and you met my dad, and we should be best friends all over. Let's go fight some shit. He doesn't.
Yeah, pretty much.
and Davos is like, he was supposed to keep that to himself.
Yep.
And they mentioned they mentioned that each of them met the other's father, and then Jon says you're gonna need a sword. He's like, I prefer a hammer. And Davos is like, yeah, he can handle himself. Did we literally talk about oh man, I skipped an entire scene. We didn't talk about the end of Hammer Time where he beamed those guys on the way out of
Yeah, I just thought
thought
you were moving on because you weren't considering that important.
Oh, it's not important, but it was like the only action we had of the scene. I missed it. I'm sorry to everybody who's been yelling for the past 20 minutes that I missed that scene. But we all know what it was, and we all know that he can handle himself because he friggin' beamed those two guys after they ate the Westeros version of Viagra. So we know he can handle himself, and then we can't wait for later. We can't wait for. How did I skip that? Boy, that's bad. That's okay. It's all right. Everybody's still hanging on. We're good. I'm just mad at myself now. So, and this goes on to what you were talking about earlier with when Davos is like, he tells Gendry, it's better to be a coward. My dad used to tell me it's better to be a coward for a minute than dead for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And they both are like, both, shut up, old man, we're gonna go fight. And he's like, yeah, nobody mind me at all. All I've done is live to a ripe old age.
Yeah. Hey, I'm still breathing, guys. Okay, but whatever.
I'm super old.
Cool, fuck me, right? I don't know what I'm doing here.
Right. Oh man, I cannot believe I missed that part of that scene because that's where Tyrion gets in his kick with. He's like, last time I was here, I killed my father, and Davos goes, last time I was here, you killed my son with dragonfire.
Yeah.
Damn
And
it.
he's like, all right.
Oh man, awkward. It's great. I can't believe I missed that. That's cool. It happens. We're good. All right. So, and then we Tyrion and Jorah have their little moment as they're getting ready to push off. He gives them a coin that they were, keepsake. This is a coin that the slaver gave us when he told us, when I suggested that he free us. And take it with you and bring it back. Our queen needs you. To Jorah. So I mean, it's just one of those. So let's all have a goodbye here. Jorah has a goodbye with Dany. She even takes his hand and talks to him real nice and sweet. And then Dany and Jon, have their goodbye moment. And it's like, he goes, if I don't come back, you won't have to deal with the King of the North anymore. And then she says, I've grown used to him, and she gives him her googly eyes.
Yeah,
So
man. Yeah, dude. It's almost like they're trying to make the Lannisters of the North. They're gonna have like an ancestral king and queen. They're gonna it's just they're all just starting to come full circle. Tyrion's gonna be the odd man out again.
It's okay. He's fine. But I just feel like, so of that group, who's not coming back? Someone's not coming back. And this goes towards, like, Gendry has that like, he's the guy in all the war movies. It's a little bit too excited about being at war and a little bit too ready to go. And so is he gonna do, one of the stupid charges into the enemy and get killed? Is Jorah gonna die like clutching the coin and whispering Dany's name? Is Jon gonna die again? Probably not. I'm pretty sure he has pretty good plot armor, so I'm sure he's fine. But yeah, someone's gonna have to die.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be the Hound's gonna die, and he's gonna die with something like
badass for sure.
Well, yeah, but it's also gonna save somebody somehow, and he's gonna like have some kind of redemption thing. And I bet you the two dudes, that are like the Red Witch's people or whatever, like the guy that's going bald that like said, what better than freezing in a cell to die?
The priest.
and Eye Patch guy. All three of those guys are going out.
Beric Dondarrion and I can't remember the priest's name, but yeah, they're more than likely. That crew we're getting to, definitely getting to shortly at the very end scene. That I would even say Gendry could die just for the sheer fact that we don't, he
no
was.
Way, dude. You're gonna have like 2.0 version, man. Like he's gonna be around, and then him and Jon are end up gonna be like best friends, and it's gonna be like a whole role reversal. He'll be like, "I need you to be my hand. You're the only guy I know that can wield a hammer like that," or something. And boom, there you go.
Well, he definitely gets some good hits in. We see that in the trailer later on, so it's gonna be some good fights before anything happens. That's for sure. All right, so we move on. So everybody, so Jon's on his way to Eastwatch. They're rowing up the East Coast to Eastwatch, so they're on their way. So they move us back to Old Town, where Gilly and Sam are reading over the text that he is copying. She's quizzing him on how many steps the Great Sept have. High Sept and Maynard apparently recorded steps. She asks him, "Do you know how many windows are in the Great Keep?" And he goes, "None now." And then she drops the Gilly bomb of all Gilly bombs, and she gets to be the one that literally tells everything that everyone has been waiting for so many seasons, and all the R plus L equal J, and it's all confirmed right here that she says that Maester Maynard or High Sept and Maynard performed a secret annulment, and then a wedding immediately after to Rhaegar. And so that tells us that Jon was not born a bastard, that Jon is the rightful heir of Westeros, or the heir to Westeros, he is the rightful king above Dany. And somebody broke down like how this works, and how Dany's only, on this part of the tree, but he's the true, he is the one who needs to be on that throne according to how the law of the land works. So we get that big reveal, and then Sam literally is like, "Shut up, woman!"
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like he didn't even pick that up, and I was like, and then of course Sam leaves, and I'm like, man, I hope he grabbed that book.
Right. Well, it'll be one of those. Well, and truthfully, as soon as Bran and Jon see each other, Bran can just go, "Hey, by the way, you're really the king, because I saw it when Dad was young, and I know that you're her." And then it's gonna be Bran's gonna say it to Jon, Sam's gonna be there, and then it's gonna you'll see him do the light bulb, and he'll go, "Oh God, I have a scroll that says I remember that," or and he'll remember it at that point. He's filed it away.
Yeah, it all got triggered now. There's my flashback.
Yeah, and he'll apologize immensely to Gilly, and he'll be fine. But yes, he'll remember it later. But you're right, it didn't really. He had already blown off what he was saying because he was so upset about, what was going on there, and how the Maesters weren't taking him seriously, and they really, if you look at their situation, there's no reason they should. But he's upset, and he's like, I'm tired of reading about the achievements of better men. So he packs up his stuff, He puts them all on a horse or on a carriage early in the morning, and he heads out with, he gives the books and the sept one last look, one last longing. No, this is what I wanted to do, and I'm sacrificing what I want for the betterment of everybody. I have some information. I'm taking the books that I know can help me, and I'm out.
Yep.
Peace. I see you. I'm out of here. And so that's good on him. I mean, and at some point, and he leaves also, like we said earlier, leaves without knowing that his father and brother are dead. So I hope he's not, swinging past the house on the way up.
Hey, Mom, Dad.
Dickin.
Yeah.
No more dick jokes either. That's gonna be. I was really enjoying it. Every other episode getting to laugh at his name, and now we're not gonna get to anymore. It would just be uncouth. So, the last scene at Winterfell for the episode. We see Littlefinger has already employed some whisperers of his own in the area, and he's getting information. And Arya is standing broadside in a doorway off to the side. I'm like, you're like, a lot of the stuff she does, because he picks up on the fact that she's following him, and he notices that she's there. It's like, you're not even trying to you're trying to be sleuthy, but you're being just not sleuthy enough that he notices you, because he's not just some moron. He's been doing this a long time.
Well, but see, now you got to figure out who's playing cat and mouse, man, between the two.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? I think they're legit in a spy versus spy thing where,
she's trying to make sure he sees her see him.
yeah. She's like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, I know you're gonna plant this information, and and then I think this is where you get her and Sansa are almost at no, and then they get this kind of prove my point together, and all of a sudden, they're best of buds, putting Littlefinger in his spot.
Well, okay, so do you know what scroll? Okay, so just to step through the scene real quick, we see Littlefinger later on, or we move to the next part of the scene where Littlefinger's talking to, I believe, the Master at Arms and the current Maester, maybe. And he's asking them, is this? They say that Maester Luwin's archives were very detailed, and Littlefinger asks, "Is this the only copy?" Or they said he has the only copy of Winterfell, and so then she follows him to his room. He goes in, he leaves. She picks the lock. She goes in. She digs around his room and she finds the scroll and she unwraps it. And do you know what that scroll is? Do you remember? Did you recognize what it was?
I briefly tried to read it, and then I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I
couldn't keep up with it, and I was like, I'm too invested in everything else that's going on.
Right, and it is the scroll that Cersei had Sansa write way back in season 2 or 3, maybe 4, when she was married to Jon, and it was one that was denouncing her. Or maybe it was season 1. God, denouncing her father and her house and saying that she was on their side. It's really bad. It looks really bad for Sansa.
Yeah.
Even though she was literally threatened to write this letter or this scroll to everybody. So, yes, Arya's gonna find it now. Does she know that he knows that she's following him? So she knows that, it could be that deep, or it could be she can, now she has something that she can knock Sansa down a peg. Is she going to be that blind? Is she still that childish after all she's been through to not see that he set that up for her? You think she's not. You think she knows he knows she watched him.
Yeah, I think that Arya is playing Littlefinger to set this moment up so she can basically prove to Sansa that, look,
he's
man, this dude is not on your side at all. But then it also makes you then wonder too, because in their argument, Arya's like, just kill them all, whatever. And Sansa's like, that's not how the game's played. You just can't go killing everybody. And if she brings up okay, so what? You're right. I still have to keep the Knight's Veil on over here on the side. He controls them. What do you want me to do? So I think they're gonna have that standoff, but then come to a little bit of respect for each other, and then they're gonna figure out together how to get him killed and how to shift the army and do all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And
Or Arya's gonna start wearing his face. She's gonna be
oh, that'd be so awesome. I didn't even thought of that.
She's gonna be like, oh well, if that's all we need to do, like here's a cool trick I can do. Be right back.
That would be, that'd be so fantastic. That hadn't even crossed my mind, but I could even see her killing him in private and then playing him without Sansa knowing, and then just taking over the Vale as, man, Corey, that just lit up so much stuff that could be so much fun. Oh boy. Okay, so with that, and that's our last scene at Winterfell. Her finding the scroll, and then we head off to the Eastwatch, where Jon and his merry band of men from Dragonstone arrive. Tormund's like, you guys didn't bring enough people with you.
Yeah.
And then he asks, and he's like, did you bring the big woman?
Nope. Man, he is so hard up for her.
He wants her so bad. That's great. It's just his thing with her is the best part about his character right now.
Oh yeah, it's a love story for the ages.
And then it goes into what you were talking about before we started recording, where he was asking. Davos mentions that he's old, and he's like, "Yeah, we know you're a liability. Like, you're not coming."
yeah. He's like, "No, dude, we're not bringing you."
Yep. And then so Tormund also says that there are others that he has at Eastwatch that want to go north, and we're introduced back to the Brotherhood of without banners that we haven't seen since I think the first episode. The Hound is there, and everybody recognizes everybody from some sort of past thing, and that they all don't really like each other at certain points from the past. But then they all say, you know what? We all have our differences, but we're all breathing
together.
Exactly. So we know that they're going to band together, and they're the magnificent however many 15, 7, who knows. We know that they're going to band together and go north and get a white. However, they're going to do that. So, and that ends out, and that wraps up our episode, our talking episode. We definitely had more talky, and now the next episode we need some more fighty time. No more talking. We're good. So, all right. So, just to wrap things up, what'd you think of the episode?
I knew it was going to be a slow episode, but it was also a good episode.
It was coming. I agree. We knew there.
Like I knew after the dragons that like we weren't gonna get some bonkers follow up to that, but I knew we were gonna get just. I didn't know we were gonna get this much info, but I knew there was gonna be some. I knew there was gonna be some spoken word that was gonna definitely make your ears perk up.
Exactly, and yeah, I think it did its job. We knew there was going to be an episode that was literally all talk, and it shows us that I don't need a fighting episode to be blown away, or at least to be like, oh man, that's great, that's fantastic. It's what we don't need one that's all fighting for them to do that to us. That was a great episode altogether.
Yeah, it makes sure it definitely proves that you're invested in the story, kind of thing,
Right. So they kick off the little 1 minute trailer for the next episode, or the stuff coming up. Not all of it's been next episode in the past. So you see Jon and his gang going north of the Wall. Dany and Tyrion are at the table still hanging out. That's all we saw from them. All with I think it's either the priest or Beric Dondarrion doing a voiceover of what's the war to come. And so Jon, you see them north somewhere, and you see a shot of Jon, and you see some mass coming out of the cave behind him, and then they cut away to Arya asking Sansa if she is scared, and she said, "You are scared, aren't you?" He said, "What are you scared of?" And then there's just hammering of all kinds of things, and you see Beric getting to light the sword you were talking about, getting ready to rumble, and then I think you see the second portion of the shot from earlier with Jon, where something's coming out of the cave, and you see it's just a mass of White Walkers and of just a mass of them, and then it's pretty much everybody hauling ass.
Yeah, and it looks like Yeah, it almost looks like they just settled on something. It's like, look, dude, we found a limb or a head that's still moving. Just grab that thing, throw it in a box. We gotta go.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I wrote in my notes. Maybe there's reinforcements where they're running, or they've caught one and they're just trying to get the last dive through the the gate at the wall to close it before the dead get to them, and they can lock them back out for a little bit longer and head south. I don't think they will. I think with the way time has been skipping around this season, that if they do get a white, it's only going to take this next episode, and then the white will be at King's Landing, episode 7. You know what I mean? And it may be him going through the travel from the north to get to King's Landing. Will be him it's in a giant cage, like way back when Arya was traveling north. They had the guys in the cage, just an open cage where everybody can see this dead thing just moving around, so that can all travel through all the ends of the crossroads, and everybody can hear about it, and everybody in Westeros will know that it's a real threat. And then because everybody has to fight, we've already said that everybody does, not just soldiers. Everybody's got to fight. So that's what I think. Any last things going on? Anything running through your head?
No, I just I don't think Littlefinger's gonna last much longer.
I think he's played his part.
I think he will maybe finish this season. I think Littlefinger might be the biggest death of the year.
Just because we've all been like, you're like a car salesman. I just want to wash myself when I'm done seeing you on screen.
Yeah, because I think everybody realizes how dirty he is, and there's nothing left for him to really try to do, because whatever's going on between him and Arya and Sansa right now it's gonna come to a head, and it's probably either gonna be the end of Sansa and Littlefinger, or it's gonna be the end of just Littlefinger.
Right. Exactly.
And the only reason I think Sansa would get tossed in there is because she has done something to go behind Jon's back.
Right.
And then Arya's finally going to go, all right, we're going to do it my way. I'm killing everybody.
She has all that power. She can do it.
Yeah. No, she is definitely I'm still waiting to see what game. I'm out of everything that is going on in this whole show, I am beyond interested in what is going on with her little cat and mouse game with Littlefinger. I could care less about anything else right now. I'm like, White Walkers, whatever. I'm like, I want to know, is she going to wear his face or not? And when she does, what does she do? Because you can just see it. She's itching to kill somebody, and he is just prime pickings out of everybody where they're at.
Agreed. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Thank you, everybody who lasted this long to the end of this podcast. I knew it was going to be a long one when my notes made it to 4 pages on everything that was said. Don't forget that after Game of Thrones season 7 is over, our show will shift to American Horror Story. Starting the show airs September 5th, so you can probably bet that we will record the podcast a couple days later and get it out to everybody who wants to listen. Remember to share with all of your friends, anybody you think may be interested, anybody you think might be interested, and it's the only way we're going to get this podcast out. So thank you, everybody who listened to this and all of our podcasts. Catch us at twodadsreview.com. Tweet at us at Twitter, twodadsreview. And we'll catch you guys next week for episode 6 of Game of Thrones season 7. Talk to you guys next week.
All right, guys. Later.
See ya.